Hi, I'm Sally Brady. I'm a business planning specialist. Now, I have been teaching you over the last three sessions how to build a cash flow. So we're going to continue with session four today, and then we're going to finalize with session five. Now, session one was about picking your poison. So picking what module you're going to, what software you're going to use to actually build your cash flow. So the first thing you could use, some people use software. I don't recommend it. Some people use Google Docs. Brilliant. It's just, that and Excel are very, very similar. I personally use Excel because I find it is a better tool for actually manipulating. But to be fair, so is Google Docs. They're very, very similar. I generally don't recommend software because, as I've talked about in session one, a spreadsheet or a document like Google Docs, you can put in what you want, whereas software doesn't know what's up here. So you're actually putting information in that a system won't necessarily use. There are lots of systems out there. They quite often say, yes, we've got a cash flow module in here. But what you've got to remember is that system is only as good as the information that's in there. Sometimes the information isn't as accurate as it should be. You might not have your accounts up to date. Your bookkeeper hasn't done it. You haven't done it. Your accountant hasn't done it. So it's not going to tell you what you need to know. The other side of it is they can only use the information that's in there. So again, it can only plot maybe 3 months ahead. So if you've got debtors, your customer invoices or creditors, supplier invoices that are due in a couple of months, it can only use that information. It's not as intelligent, and I say that tongue in cheek, as you and I. So I would highly recommend using something like Google Docs or Excel. In session two, we talked about being a detective, about you gathering the information you need. So getting your bank statements together, getting any outstanding invoices owed to you and invoices you owe together. If you have an accounting software that you're using, I personally use Xero and QuickBooks. If you've got those, then doing some reports to tell you what regular money you pay out or what regular money you have in. You might work on retainers, so you know exactly what's coming in. You might be paying lots of direct debits, so you know exactly what's going out. Again, say that tongue in cheek, because generally people don't know what's coming in and going out, hence the reason we built a cash flow. Right, and then the third session was about plotting that information. So I provided you two different scenarios, so two different spreadsheets on how to actually input the information. We talked about inputting the expenses and then putting the sales, because I always say build from bottom up because it's easier. You know generally what money's going out. So you know that you pay your bank fees regularly, much as we hate those. We know that you pay your rent regularly. We know that you pay your utility bills regularly. The only thing we don't know at the moment is what they're going to be in a year's time. But generally, we can say between 3 and 5%, 10%, 20%. You have a good idea what the economy is going to do and where you are in sterling. So they're the easy bits to put in. And then we look at the sales. So we look at, what sales you've currently got outstanding. So get that in. We look at what sales you think you might get over the next, couple of months, 3 months, 4 months. And then we go beyond that to 12 months. And 12 months is looking at trends. So it's looking at what sales you made over the last year to what you think you're going to make over the next year. Now, you might know 3 months worth. You might know 6 months worth. Or if you're like me, where you're working a lot on retainer or running courses, we generally know how our income flows. So you get smart about it. And that's what a cash flow does for you as well. It helps you get smart and understanding the incoming money and the outgoing money of your business. So by being detective, you're pulling it all together and plotting it on a spreadsheet. So I gave you two different spreadsheets. I gave you a simplified model that I use, and then I gave you a more complex model, because I use two different scenarios depending on the size of the business or the complexity of the business. And as I said in my last video, if you want copies of those, just drop me an email. I will happily share those because useful. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. I've done it for you. Why do it again? I use Excel every day. The information's there. I'm offering it free to you. Take it. So, right. On the back of that, so you should have plotted everything by now. What I want you to start looking at now is all that money coming in and going out. So start looking at your expenditure. Start looking where you can reduce costs. Now, when I work with businesses, quite often the first thing they look at is heads. They look at these, they look at people, and they go, right, okay, we can save money by just getting rid of Joe Bloggs there because he's not, he's always quite slow, or maybe we could do that ourselves. No, don't look at that. Look at what else you're hemorrhaging money, where else you're hemorrhaging money. If you want a one-man band or a smaller business, then, you might have other areas to look at. Look at how much you're spending on your mobile phone bills. Can you switch provider and get a better deal? Could you actually end a contract and just have it on a SIM only? Utility bills, they're going through the roof at the moment. Is there a way you could reduce that? And I know two or three people that I work with look at reducing utility bills, not just personally. There's one particular lady I work with who looks at commercial utilities, and she has saved several of my clients a hell of a lot of money recently, and it's worth reviewing. Just when you think somebody comes in and says, "Oh, sort of, one of the big utility companies is offering me a really good deal," I know we can generally better it. So again, if you want to talk to me about that, drop me an email. I can put you in touch with these people too. So start looking at your expenditure. Where can you cut some costs? Where can you save some money? What could you ultimately do to make this a better picture? And then I want you to start looking at your sales as well. Look at your sales. How could you actually improve your sales? Now, one of my clients, when we first did this exercise, she looked at it and she said, "I'm never going to achieve that, Sally. This is crazy. What are we doing this for?" Then a month later, we had a chat and she said, "Do you know what? I looked at that sales figure and I knew, but just by bringing one client on board on one particular course, that would have made the money we needed for the month. And it's because I could see it." So that is the power of a cash flow. I always say cash flow is king and queen in your business, and it is. It gives you visibility. So what I want you to do today, or in this session, is to go back and look at everything you've plotted. Now, hopefully you've been honest with yourself. See, the other thing I said to you, be honest. The only person you're cheating is yourself. It's like going to the gym and stuffing a McDonald's down your neck and just not bothering with the exercise. It's pointless. So go and track and go and have a look at what you've already done and go and revisit it. And if you've missed something out, put it in. Honestly, the amount of times I see this, put it in. It's giving you visibility. It might not be a pretty picture at the moment, but it gives you visibility so you can deal with the situation. If we hit another pandemic, or if we hit, you hit another hard time or even a good time, you can see exactly what's happening by having this information there. So don't cheat yourself. Go back now, revisit the last 3 videos of 3 sessions we've done, and then revisit your information. Make sure you've captured absolutely everything, and make sure you've got a clean sheet ready for session 5. So if you haven't revisited them, session 1 is about picking your poison. It's about picking what you're going to do. Session 2 is about being a detective, gathering all the information. So anything you've missed out this time, go and get it and put it in. Session 3 is about plotting the information, the dreaded spreadsheet, pulling it together. So today's session, session 4, is about revisiting that model and making sure you've got everything in it and you can see what's happening over the next 12 months. I want you to have a cash flow for 12 months. So once you've done that, switch to session 5 and I can talk you through what's next. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, because we drop lots of shorts in with tips about jargon. We also have a Business Planning 101 course that is online. You can do it. You don't have to face me every day, or you can actually drop in on the sessions that we run once a month with those, where you can talk me. I can, give you a few tips on your cash flow. So if you're interested in that, again, drop them the links below. The Business Planning 101 course is in there. And if you want to work with me one-to-one, drop me a message. I'll quite happily have a chat with you. I work with lots of businesses. I work with small one-man bands right up to millions of pound businesses. And I just love helping people. So if you want my help, just drop me a message. Okay? Right. Go and plot that cash flow. Go and revisit it. Go and save some money and drive those sales. And I'll see you on session 5.